All right, welcome back as we continue with the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. Now we're talking about Evgeny Malkin. A lot of people expect him to play today, but he did not. And it was interesting because he got hurt, toward the end of the season there, but he had a whole week to practice. He took line shifts during practice. So, Jeff, what have you heard, and what is your level of concern about number 71?
Well, when he didn't take part of that scrimmage in their practice a couple of days ago, you kind of got the first sight because everybody who was injured did. Everyone who had played every game did. This is a big deal. They wanted to simulate game situations, and when Malkin wasn't out there, you could sense something wasn't right at that point. I give the Penguins credit for this. I think it's smarter not to play an 80% of Evgeny Malkin. I'm sure there's temptation to, because you have some depth at forwards, and that wasn't the reason they lost the game. But it could have been if you had an 80% Malkin out there, if he's not, skating up to the same level, if he's getting frustrated because he's trying to compensate for that knee. It's a tough decision, but it was the right decision. And
would you say that about Sid,
I don't know if anything
Jeff?
Changed in this game.
Would you say that about Sid? If Sid were at 80%, would you have played him?
Yes, because he plays a different type of game. Because I think he could still play his game more at 80 than Evgeny could play his.
Well, this is why I think the Penguins will still eventually win this series. But my long-term forecast for the Penguins isn't great, because I don't think that Evgeny Malkin he's not the guy who clicked with Kapanen about the midpoint of the season when you looked at him and he was a force similar to the way he was for most of last year's regular season. And I think they generally go as Malkin goes. I know Sid has 2 Conn Smythes, but Malkin, to me, when you've got both of them going, that's when the Penguins become a Stanley Cup contender. Bob, and the numbers are horrible. Since you go back to the 2018 playoffs, the year after their last Stanley Cup, the guy's got 1 even strength goal and is a -11. And so I think that coincides with the Penguins' struggles in the playoffs. And I don't think they'll get past Boston or Washington if Malkin's not himself.
Well, Malkin was not himself in the 4 games when he returned at the end of the regular season, and that was before he aggravated the injury. I did not like how he looked. It is a problem. And we're starting to see age catch up to the Penguins a little bit, right? Because I thought Sidney Crosby was by far the best player on the ice. He was awesome today, and he still only had 1 point. 5 or 10 years ago, if Sidney Crosby was dominant, he would have had 3 points per. That's just the way it goes when you're going into your mid-30s in the National Hockey League. So they need Malkin at some point, and I think you saw the trickle-down effect. I didn't think Carter and McCann were very good today, certainly not like they had been. And, part of the problem is when you have Crosby and Malkin, Carter and McCann get to play against third defensive pairings. That's one of the things that made the HBK line so great. They didn't have to worry about top 4 defensemen. Crosby and Malkin were taking care of them. So I think they can beat the Islanders without Malkin. I certainly don't think they can beat the Bruins, but if they're going to make a long run, they not only need a healthy Evgeny Malkin, but they need the Malkin that we saw for a couple of weeks before he was injured in March. Because if they don't get that guy, I just think there's 5 or 6 teams that are better than them in the NHL.
Ilya Sorokin played today. Nobody expected that necessarily because we think Varlamov is going to play in this series, but he did, and he outplayed Tristan Jarry. He didn't make crazy saves, but he was steady in goal. So I wonder, Jeff, when they played in the regular season, he threw a shutout at the Penguins. Next time they got to him and he got yanked. What do they have to do in this game, too, to put more pressure on him?
Yeah, it's not just the shots. It's getting more pressure around him. It's getting more bodies around him, making those shots tougher. You mentioned it. He didn't make a lot of spectacular saves. He didn't have to. He saw a lot of the puck. I think it's pretty simple. Just get some more bodies to the net, play that type of style where you're more desperate. And, hey, you know what? In the third period, it seemed – I know they used the phrase tilted ice. It seemed like the Penguins were trying to go uphill. There weren't a lot of opportunities there in the third.
Well, I think they got to cash in on special teams is what I think they got to do. That's one of them, Bob. Sidney Crosby had a couple of, to Josh's previous point, Crosby's got to bury one of those power play chances. That's a play I think he'll tell you after the game he's got to score there. He's got to lift the puck up there and get it over the pad of Sorokin. I thought the game opened up a little bit in the second period. It wasn't really the tight checking game that I thought it would be for about maybe 10 or 15 minutes of live play. When that happens, be the opportunistic team. When you get a couple of more rush opportunities, more than you probably thought you'd have, you got to bury your chances there. So, the Islanders are not going to be buttoned up for 60 minutes. They're going to give you a couple cracks and openings, and when they give them to you, you better take advantage of them. And I don't think they did enough in this game of that.
Yeah, along those lines, Andrew, I'm not Mike Sullivan. He's better at what he does than I could ever be. But if I were Mike Sullivan, I would pick a practice one day and have my team work on 2-on-1s for a half an hour and just nothing else. You're not going to get many odd man rushes against the Islanders. They had two 2-on-1s. On one, Crosby forces a pass to Gensel when he had a wide open look. And on the other, Zach Aston-Reese tried a ridiculous curl and drag play when he had a 2-on-1. You got to shoot the puck. You're playing against a rookie goalie, against a team that doesn't give up odd man rushes. You can't be that cute. You just can't. The Islanders are too well trained defensively. They're not going to let you just stand in front of the net and make a couple of moves. They're just not. You need to take a more direct approach. When they give you looks like that, you have to bury them. This game easily could have been 3 or 4-1 and absolutely over before Tristan Jarry had his troubles.
And because it wasn't, that's when I had a feeling that somehow, some way, the Islanders were going to sneak a goal in there. But they had a nice response with Kapanen, only to find that they couldn't win it in overtime. All right, so game 2 is coming up on Tuesday night. Real quick, around the horn, 30 seconds. All of you, I believe, picked the Penguins. So did I. Have you changed your opinion at all, or have you added games to it? Andrew, you first.
No, I haven't changed my pick, although I think Sorokin might be a blessing in disguise for the Islanders because the Penguins have, dominated Varlamov. And so we'll see what Trotz does. If Varlamov is healthy and he goes back to him, I think that'll be a mistake.
I picked Penguins in 6. I will stick with that. They better win on Tuesday night, however. If they lose Tuesday night, they're losing the series.
I agree with that. And I also have Pens in 6. It was going to be a tough series. I mean, it wasn't going to be a layup against the Islanders. Just because you didn't get Boston doesn't mean it was going to be easy against the Islanders. They're a tough team. It'll take 6 games, but the Penguins will still win it.
Ebbs and flows. We see them all the time in hockey, and if they win game 2, things change. More pressure on the Islanders then to hold serve. We'll see how it goes. That's a 7:30 start on Tuesday night. When we come back, we'll talk about the Steelers. And Najee Harris was in town. A lot of people very impressed by him. Let's talk about the pressure he faces as the #1 pick of the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's next.